Um, and thank you for making time in your day to join us for today's Road to Conference event. I'm Krista Bradley, and I'm the Director of Programs and Resources at APAP. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a brown-skinned Black woman with short black curly hair, and I'm wearing blue glasses and a print shirt with a black sweater, and I'm in my office with a window behind me. Um, I want to acknowledge that APAP is located in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., on the ancestral lands of the Piscataway, Anacostan, and Pamunkey people who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. I would like to pay my respect to the elders, both past and present. Closed captioning for today is available. We are also joined by ASL interpreters from Purple, Michelle Clark, and Shauna Wolf. Thank you both for your continued partnership. Next slide. So today you're going to be hearing from a couple of members from the APAP team. I've already introduced myself. JG Decker, who's our Senior Associate of Resources and Events, will be joining us. Niar Narnar-Madison, our Director of Operations and Events, will be joining us. Willie Santiago, Manager of Programs and Resources, is working the background and tech for us. Thank you, Willie. And Dominic D'Andrea, who is our Contracted Accessibility Coordinator, will be joining us and sharing more about our accessibility resources that will be available on site. So thank you all for being here. Next slide. So today we're going to go through a few things. We want to know who's in the room and whether this is a first time or an early number of conference attendance, conference events that you've been to, or you're a veteran and what your role is. We're going to go over what is APAP NYC in general. I'm assuming that a number of you have heard this, so we may move through that fairly quickly and walk through the conference overview. We're going to talk through using the online conference platform and how to do it, what it's good for, and how it can be your tool on the go while you're in New York City. We're going to go through all the accessibility resources and initiatives and services we have on site at conference so that everyone knows what's available and how to access them. And then we're going to have a small conversation that covers Know Before You Go with some of our conference committee members to give you some of their insights, and then we'll have a Q&A. If at any point you do have questions throughout the time together, please feel free to raise your hand or put it into the chat. We'll make sure that we can answer questions in real time too, but we'll also have designated time at the end. Okay, so let's find out who's in the room. We have a bit of a survey for you to go through. If you can go launch that survey, Willie, and take a minute to answer this for us so we know who's here. So a very well-balanced group here of different roles in the field. That's great to see. We have more than half of you are APAP NY have been in the field for 10 plus years. And then some early and mid-career folks have been in the field for less than 3 years or over the 3 to 10 year gap. So great. That's a wonderful mix too. Great mix of expertise in the room. And then, wow, okay, so half of you are first-time conference attendees. That's fantastic. And then another quarter of you are relative newbies. You have at least 1 to 3 conferences under your belt. So this is fantastic. Well, we're here for you to help make sure that APAP NYC, in your experience, will be a positive one and that you feel prepared and you have the resources that you need to be successful. So welcome. We're glad that you're here. All righty. I think we can move on to talk about what is APEP NYC. Let's move to the next slide. So APAP NYC is the largest gathering of the performing arts presenting, booking, and touring industry. It is the annual members conference of our organization, the Association of Performing Arts Professionals, which is the service organization for this live performing arts industry. And our conference takes place January 10th through the 14th at the New York Hilton across the city. New York City. So the headquarters is at New York Hilton, but we have a lot of things that happen both at the conference and then across the city with the showcases and other events that we have. Great, next slide. So at APAP NYC, we like to say that there are 4 pillars of the conference. The first is community. This is the time when people from the field, whatever role you might play in the field, come together and have a chance to build relationships and to grow their networks and to show up as a community as a whole from our industry. It's also the second pillar is commerce. This is where a lot of business gets done, whether it gets done in real time or it's the beginning, middle, or end of a commerce relationship. This is really the time when connections are made and business is done. And the third pillar is learning. This is a time when the industry comes together to learn what is happening in the field, what are the key issues and skills and knowledge that you need to have right now, given the times that we're in, and to hear from your colleagues and peers and also experts in the field. And then finally, the fourth pillar of the conference is discovery. This is not only a time to be together and to connect with people that you know, or to see work that you know, or to visit with artists that you know. It's an opportunity to discover new relationships, new agents and managers that maybe you have not worked with, and new artists that you may be unfamiliar with. So this is it's a great time to be able to get a lot of things done. And those are the 4 pillars of what happens. Let's talk about how those 4 pillars show up during the 5 days at conference. And let's go to the next slide. So we have a lot of networking and affinity groups that happen at conference. That's kind of how we build community and connect with community. We have around 1,000 showcases that take place both at the Hilton and around the city. These showcases are 20 to 30-minute excerpts of live performing arts performances from touring artists across all the disciplines to share their work, and for buyers and curators and producers to see that work and consider if it's something or someone that they would like to bring to their communities or partner with. We also have professional development, which is the key part of our learning pillar, and we'll have about 30 sessions that we'll be featuring, which includes our plenaries around issues revolving around new initiatives that are happening, new trends that are happening in the field, what you should know given our post-election cycle, what's happening internationally. So a number of issues will be covered in the professional development sessions that we have throughout the conference. EXPO Commons is where a good chunk of the commerce is situated, although it happens in various forms. But EXPO Commons is where we have a number of hundreds of booths of agents and managers and roster artists that are available for you to meet with and connect with and do meetings with to talk about work that might fit for your venue or how you might work together. And then the other elements of APAP NYC are some special events that happen in between meetings and sessions. Up next is a highlight. It happens on Friday afternoon. It is a curated session of pitches of artists and artist projects that are ready to tour in the 25-26 season. It's a great way to discover new work and new artists that are eager and ready to tour. If you are an artist, it's a great way to see how pitches are done and to see how other colleagues are presenting their work. The second event that we have that happens is 5 Minutes to Shine. It's uh, an initiative that we started years ago, but it's a way to highlight some really innovative practices and projects and events that your colleagues are doing in the field. We have four 5 Minutes to Shine entries that will be presenting at the top of each of our plenaries. So it's a fun way to kick off our plenary sessions, but also to discover some bright lights and bright spots that are happening in the field. Our APAP Honors Breakfast happens on the Monday of conference. It is a wonderful community event that celebrates leaders in the field, people that are making new headways in the field or who have served the field in beautiful and long-lasting ways. So it's a great way to connect with our colleagues, but also honor them. And then this last one it says mentoring, but we will be having a couple of mentor exchange sessions that happen at conference. We will have a session on Monday afternoon following the APEP Honors Breakfast that is a live mentor exchange that features luminaries from the field and other folks that want to learn a little bit more about how they got there, what are some of their insights on the field and where we are. So another way to really tap into the exchange of people in together and opportunities for us to build networks and community. Next slide. Okay, so how did we get here in terms of developing this conference? We got here through the leadership of your colleagues in the field. We put together a conference committee made up of folks in the field that represent all different elements of the field. And these folks are led by these wonderful conference co-chairs, Chisa Yamaguchi, who's producer and manager at Sozo Artists, Laura Sweet, who's the VP and Chief Operating Officer at Des Moines Performing Arts Center, Mark Wilson, the Executive Director at Zoellner Art Center at Lehigh University, and an APEP board member, Sarah Haig, who's artist and owner of Rhythmwood Drive, and Sarah Saltwick, co-director of Holden and Arts Associates. And a number of them are with us today. So thank you, co-chairs, for your amazing leadership and for giving up your time and your energy to serve the field. They are accompanied by a fabulous group of conference committee members. Next slide, many of whom are here. I'm not going to read through all the names, but you can see that they come from all walks of our industry, from presenters to agents and managers to touring self-represented artists, touring artists who are not self-represented, people who are not just curators, but play other roles in the field in operations and marketing and engagement, and then others who are part of our ecosystem that have a different lens on how we all work together. So it's a great group that's given up a lot of time and to help make sure that this time in New York is as fruitful and meaningful and productive for our diverse constituents. Thank you, everyone. Next slide. Okay, at this point, we want to talk about the online conference program platform, which is a mobile platform that will help you prep for conference and also get a leg up on connecting with people and getting your schedule organized. And for that, I'm going to turn this over to our conference team, JG and Neo.
Again, Krista, good afternoon, everyone. Again, nice to be with you all. We're going to do a bit of a transition. Thank you, JEG. We'll be sharing screen as we walk through our online conference platform. And we are up. Okay. Our online conference platform is a complement to your in-person experience. And you can see on the screen there, Erin, one of our conference committee members. Um, you'll see lots of information when you're on the platform. As a reminder to everyone, once you have become a registered attendee of the conference, you have access to the platform, and the platform is online. And let's see, JG is now on the home page of the platform. If you could scroll down a bit, JG, you'll see these same buttons that are over the top of the screen. You can also see them if you're in the center of the platform if you want to click on the detailed schedule or showcase listing or exhibitors. Thank you, JG. Now we're going to go to the attendee page, please. Everyone registered for the conference will have an attendee profile, and we encourage everyone to log in and update your profile in advance of the conference and to check out the platform to see who else is participating. And this is where you'll see the most up-to-date information. Next tab, please. We're going to go to the detailed schedule. Um, I'm sorry, JG, can we go back to attendees? And you were trying to lead me. Thank you for that. We'd like to point out on the left that there are search and filter features. If you're looking for someone particular, you can search by last name and find their profile. You can also search by type of attendee, and that feature is helpful when you're trying to narrow down your search or looking for a particular attendee. Okay. Thank you, JD. Back to the detailed schedule, please. Okay. The schedule, the most up-to-date schedule can be found here, and this is broken out by day of the conference. So we are looking at Friday. Times are in Eastern Standard Time. You could switch the time format to a 24-hour time slot if you're interested in. You can also search for keywords here to help you easily find a particular session. Thank you, JG, for clicking on the Youth and Family Programming Forum. This is a session that will be happening on Friday. And as you note, once you click on the agenda item, you'll see information about the session. You'll be able to see everyone that is attending or that's pre-registered to attend that session. Here, you can also add this session to your schedule by clicking on the bookmark there. You can also see more information about the schedule over to the left lower corner. For the family forums, and well, all forums and affinity groups happening on Friday, January 10th, before the start of the conference, we encourage everyone to participate, but we would like to ask everyone to register in advance for these sessions by clicking the register here button. You can find this on the platform. And again, this information is on our website and has been emailed to register attendees. So here you can register for all of the forums and or sessions you would be participating in. And there's also a comment box where we'd like to hear your thoughts about what you'd want to have the forum discuss or be a topic of interest to your peers at the session. Can we go back to the session, please, JG? Okay, thank you. And let's go to the showcase listing tab, please.
Perfect.
Here, thank you, JG.
Thank you, Neo. All right, so this is our showcase listing tabs. This functions much in the same way as our detailed schedule when you are searching for various showcases that will be hosted during the conference, both on-site at the Hilton and off-site at the Hilton. Much like the detailed schedule, we also have filters for this, which are broken down by genre and subgenre. We'll go through a few of these. So we're going to look up all of our dance related showcases, and these will each be divided by days. And from here, you can go much like you do on the detailed schedule and add them to your schedule. You can click on them as well, and you can see other registered attendees and find information. This information will detail where the showcase is going to be held at, whether it's on-site at the Hilton or off-site somewhere else. We ask various questions, whether it regards RSVP types or accessibility. For this one, they've indicated that it's fully accessible and have given you a contact should you have any questions about accessibility. Along with venue access instructions, which includes how you can access the venue, and then other specific information such as booking fee, contact names for the people, and then the websites for booking as well. To go back to genres, you can also search based upon certain filters. You want to make sure that everything is reset so that you're starting from a clean slate. But if you're interested in new works, let's say, you can type that in and it'll pull up all associated works that have that listed as a subgenre. So if we're going to pick on my friend here, Samara, which will show you that she is a new works person. You can also do this by filtering through subgenres here. And we're going to continue to pick on my friend Samara because we selected experimental and new works, and then you can pull up their listing. And that is showcase listings. Back to you, Neo.
Thank you, JG. May I ask you to click on the exhibitors tab, please? Okay, this is a complete listing of all of the exhibiting participants at the conference. And again, we encourage all exhibitors to create and or update your exhibitor profile. This will house information. I believe, JG, thank you. You're going to select a landing page to look at. This will house information about your roster, and also be a landing page where you can put your contact information for you and your colleagues that are participating in the conference. So this organization has 2 team members there. You can also make a profile connection with them by clicking on the links to their names below. You can also leave a message on their wall by putting a message in the text box to the right of the screen. Yes, I see. I'm going to go back through some of the questions that you have in the chat once we get to the end of the platform. Thank you, JG. And we look at the map. And I'm sorry, before we go on, can you scroll down just a bit? Can you keep scrolling, please? Okay, nope, I was looking for the quickest way to find some more information, but we're going to go to the map. Thank you. Thank you. This is our interactive conference map of the Hilton locations, or event locations, I should say. You can zoom in to make this as easy to navigate as you'd like. You will see on the left, this is a listing of all locations, including all of the exhibits, and they're broken out by floor there. And JG, I'm going to turn this over to you for a second to talk a bit about how you navigate between floors when trying to find directions from one location to the next.
Sure. Thank you, Neo. All right. So it's a pretty simple process for us. For this, let's say you wanted to get from a booth in Rhinelander. We're going to use our friends Lula, Washington, and you wanted to get over to the Sutton Center. All you have to do is click directions over here on the left-hand side. You can switch from your starting point. We're going to start at Lula, Washington, and we're going to go over to Sutton Center. The map will provide a direct path of how you can walk from that section over to the other. Gives you a nice time travel estimate, a distance if you're counting your steps, and then when you should be able to arrive. But what if you wanted to move between different floors? So let's say you wanted to meet our friends at Lula, Washington, but you wanted to go upstairs to America's Hall 2 to meet Harmony artists. You would click on the booth again, or any area that you wanted to start on, and input the different organization. So this will give you a breakdown floor by floor of the steps that you can follow. So it'll start in Rhinelander, which is labeled R on our map, which will give you the direct path to the escalator. Then you'll click on the next portion, which is America's Hall 1, which will give you the path from an escalator to another escalator. And then you'll click on A2, which is for America's Hall 2, which will give you the path from an escalator to the booth location. Back to you, Neil.
Okay, thank you. JG, just a few things to note here. As I did mention, you will see the booth number for all exhibitors on the map. This would be the quickest way for you to find booth locations for all of the attendees or for all the exhibitors. And I want to take a moment to answer a couple of questions before we go to the next tab. So thank you, Amir and Danielle, for your feedback regarding the mobile experience versus the online experience. So it will be a little different of an interface, but all are online now. And as Amir suggested, it would be helpful to use to make sure you download the app and that you can navigate the app prior to joining us in New York to make for a seamless experience. And again, this is where you will find the most up-to-date information. We have a question from Mary, and I think, Mary, you are asking what is the difference between live performances, but I believe you mean the live performance calendar and showcases, and what is the detailed role of Timely. The live performance calendar is a member benefit that is outside of the conference. This is a year-round calendar that allows agents, managers, and artists to list their performances that are happening throughout the year in any venue. The showcases are specific to our conference experience in New York. And we actually use the online platform to display all showcases happening during the conference. And this schedule is only accessible to registered attendees of the conference. The live performance calendar is accessible to all members and is available 12 months out of the year. And we use timely.com, I believe. That is the software solution for the live performance calendar that happens outside of the conference. With that, can we go to our next tab? Thank you, JG, which is donate to APAP, which gives you more information about how you can support APAP supporting the field. Just a note that this tab takes you off platform, but you can always navigate back to our platform as we are going to do. We also have a tab here that is the Excel attendee list. And each week, the most recent attendee list will be posted here. All registered attendees receive this list via email on a weekly basis, but you'll also be able to find it here on the online platform moving forward through the conference. Can we go back to the platform, please? Thank you. Please click on the My Event tab, JG. Okay, the My Event tab is where you will find your customized schedule. You'll note the things that JG has bookmarked on their platform are here on their schedule. You can export this schedule to your personal calendar. You can also download a PDF of everything that you've bookmarked to your schedule as well. Here you can also please go to the My Meetings tab, JG. My Meetings is an option if you want to use the platform to make meetings with other attendees. I find that we are in an age where everyone has their own calendar system that they're using, so this is not one of the widely used features, but it is available if you'd like to do so. And again, if you are setting all of your meetings on this calendar, you can export these meetings to your personal preferred calendar. please go to the My Networking tab. Gigi. JG is not networking, as you can see, but this is where you would also be able to, you'd have a list of all of your network matches, or I'm going to say your friends, kind of like Facebook. All of your matches would be here under this networking tab. And JG, I'm going to turn things over to you to talk about the icons on the top of the platform.
Sure. Thank you, Neo. So at the top of the platform, you'll see that you have four different icons. One is a home button, which will take you straight back to the beginning. One is a message function, which you can see I've already started a conversation with Christine Barkley, where you can send direct messages to your contacts. You can either set up meetings, check in about where you might be. You know, if you're on Rhinelander and you're meeting someone in America's Hall 2, you can let them know I might be running late. You can send them a direct message there and it will populate. The little bell icon gives you a little notifications. As you can see, I have a long-awaited connection with Jacqueline that I'm going to accept. So you can accept things here as long as the activities. This is where you'll get information from APAP about things that are happening. You know, if the opening plenary is starting soon, or if you've booked yourself to go to the Youth and Family Affinity Group, you'll get a notification there, along with various different feedback forms as well. Lastly, you'll come to your profile icon where you can move between different areas such as my profile, which will take you back. I'm using my friend Robin Klinger's right here, which will show you how your profile actually looks on the site. Contacts, as you can see, I've connected with a few people. And then settings, and then various different swap card specific, online platform specific information. Back to you, Neo.
Thank you so much, JG. I'm going to ask that you go back to the exhibitor tab just a bit, but we've got a specific question about setting your exhibitor schedule to show your open availability for meetings as an exhibitor, setting your calendar.
Sure. Let's the best way. So since I'm not connected to a an exhibitor at this moment, I can speak to you directly about how to do that in a moment, but at this moment I can't show you that since I'm not an exhibitor on the platform.
Understood. So we will keep going. And Marion, we will be sure to handle this. This information is also in our exhibitor how-to webinar, but we'll be sure to answer this specifically. And I think, let's see. Okay, a few questions. Margaret, you're asking a question about being a first-time attendee, and I see you've got a response from one of our conference co-chairs, Sarah. I'm going to hold that question. Sarah may have more feedback, and others may as we get to the more open forum portion of our session. Let's see. Is it Morgiana or Morgiana? Please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. You are wanting to register additional attendees.
Yes.
And if you have purchased booth badges, you as the primary purchaser will receive an email with a code and a link to add the additional registrants. And once they're added to the registration system, then they will have a profile that they'll have to be updated, that will have to be updated on the platform, and they will receive an email inviting them to the platform.
Okay, I'm not quite sure on that because when I looked at the profile, the booth badge holder had updated his profile, but the like the button where it said, you know, add somebody to team, it was grayed out. So I have to go back and look at it again, and if I can't do it, then I'll send an email, I guess.
Okay. We'll
Okay.
put our contact information here directly so
Okay.
that we can follow up offline to make sure you are all set. Let's see, Reggie, if you have a profile, you are not starting from scratch. The information and your contacts that were in the system are here. You will want to log in and update your profile information if anything has changed, but your information is stored. And with that, I think we are going to go back to the slide deck. Thank you for going through that, JG. But while we are doing that transition, are there any additional questions on the platform? Okay, thank you. Next slide, Lily. And as a reminder, if you are a first-time attendee, please use the link that you've received via email to create your profile, or I'm going to say to create your profile, but you have a profile that has your name and email just by registering for the conference. But you'll want to go in and add your picture and put more information about your website and your reason for participating in the conference. Again, you can use the platform for networking and making connections in advance of the conference and also on site. The detailed schedule is now on the platform. You can begin to plan your schedule and build your conference experience. And again, it's the best place to find the most up-to-date information on site at the conference. Next slide, please. Really? Okay. I'm going to turn things over to our accessibility coordinator, Dominic D'Andrea, to discuss our accessibility offerings, our enhanced accessibility offerings at the conference. Thank you, JG, and hi, Dominic.
Hello, everyone. How are you? On my current, oh, there I am. My name's Dominic D'Andrea. I use he, him pronouns. I am a 40-plus white male with short hair, stubble, and I am wearing an orange jacket, and I'm sitting in my office here in Tempe, Arizona, in front of a gray brick wall with no adornments. I'm very pleased to be with you here today. And this year at APAP, we are continuing to move the needle forward on accessibility efforts. If you may have been at APAP the last couple of years, you might have noticed we have done quite a bit, and APAP has made a standing commitment to keep supporting and advancing accessibility and inclusion efforts, not only at the APAP conference, but in the digital space, including an upcoming website redesign and other spaces and conference touch points as we move through. When you arrive at APAP at the Hilton and you come in through the main doors, you should find immediately on sandwich boards next to all the entrance points, large accessible print signage that is workable with screen readers that will direct you towards a floor-by-floor resource of what might be there, including it's on the concourse level, the ground floor level, the registration level, and what is in the expo hall specifically. When you arrive at the main registration area, to the right, you will find the accessibility desk, which will be located there pretty much all operating hours of the conference and manned with a staff. That will include myself and several other luminary leaders in the field of accessibility who are coming to volunteer and work with us here at conference. We will be there during all conference hours, and we will be there to assist anything that comes up during your time together, our time together, rather. Just to talk through some of the features that we're instituting as a continuation of last year and beyond, signage being one of those things. We will clearly mark where the accessible restrooms are. Right now, they are currently located on the main floor the hotel lobby level, and on the main level on the ends, that's your single stalls. The accessible restrooms inside of the main areas. Sometimes the doors at the Hilton, the actual stall size might not work for all chairs. So if you experience problems and you have mobility needs, please come see us and we will direct you towards those resources. Same with gender inclusive restrooms. They will be clearly marked. And if you are a person who requires a companion for your restrooms, we will clear the restroom, stand there, and make that available for you and your companion to use with ease and comfort. On the concourse level, which is the lower level of the hotel, we will have not one but two quiet areas designated. Concourse C will be an area that will be all throughout conference. It is a quiet space to decompress. We ask that if you are in that space, you do not use your cell phones. You do not talk. You do not make noise. It's there for people to decompress and be quiet and relax and find a little peace in what can be a very chaotic and busy environment. And another concourse, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Vicki, I think it's Concourse H, also on that level, will be available at the conference all times except Friday during the morning until noon. So Friday afternoon, that second quiet space becomes available for folks to use. We will have elevators that will take us to all floors of the conference. And also on the main registration level, you can find detailed information about everything else that we are offering. Water will be available in every single room. That's every showcase room and every common space that will be used during our time, including the big halls and in the expo hall. There is a nursing and lactation pod located on the 4th floor of APAP, which is one elevator floor up. And this year, we're making a concerted effort to put mini rest areas throughout the APAP floors, which will just be banks of chairs that will be marked with rest area signage, including next to the registration desk with us. We will be registering companions. Many of you who need companion assistance have already emailed in your companion support, and those folks will be registered along with you. During your time at conference, if you have a companion, the idea is that that person is there to assist you and will be with you throughout your time at conference if you are bringing someone to do so. And I think if you know the deal, you will get an email confirmation about that person's credentials, which will be logged in at the time of your registration. This does not entitle your companion to go off and have their own APAP experience or do other business, but they're really designated to have access to everything you do to help you out. Also, we will have a continuation of our partnership with Sign Nexus. They will be providing on-site and remote captioning for all of the featured sessions. That will include a screen in the major rooms like the opening plenary and in the Trianon ballroom. And in the smaller sessions, mobile captioning and ASL teams designated to certain featured events and a floater team of ASL interpreters that will be designated to certain rooms as they come up. There will also be some more direct signage and access to certain parts of the building. We are still working on a couple of gaps that we hope to have answers for and move the needle towards a better solution. One being the elevator inside of the expo hall between floors still requires a manual operator. We are working that out with the hotel to have a smoother transition. And also, we have done a concerted effort with our off-site showcase producers to include an accessibility guide for their work outside of the Hilton, which we cannot control. But they are indicating in their swap cards, hopefully, if those spaces are accessible to what in, and have designated a specific contact for each showcase. So if you have a question about an off-site showcase, you can certainly go into Swap Card, find the contact, and ask what accessibility features or the status of a certain building or showcase you wish to attend are. And again, we're there to help you. I also want to drop this into the chat, which is an accessibility intake form. Many of you have filled this out prior to your time together. And let me just switch this to all. Hopefully this comes through. JG, I don't know why it's not letting me print that that link into the chat that you provided me. Oh, there it goes. But if you have accessibility needs, please fill out that form. And we do work with a person-to-person care model. So if it's something general, we'll be expressing that in email. If it's something specific that you have, we will get back to you and try to make an individual care plan for your time at APAP. I also want to recognize a couple of things. The map function that was shown to us earlier is a great feature this year. If you are a chair user or have mobility needs, you might want to think about adding some extra time to account for elevators and escalators at APAP. And I also want to acknowledge that Swap Card is, has small print and might not always be accessible to view in app. So if you have questions about things that are happening there, or you're unable to access that information for whatever reason, please come see us at the accessibility desk, and we are there to help you. I also think it's important to recognize that we are thinking about accessibility for all, not just people with disabilities, but everyone, including but not limited to folks with invisible or hidden disabilities. And again, if you have individualized or specialized needs, please contact us, and we will be there to kind of help you in the right direction and hopefully make your experience at ACAP welcoming and comfortable for you. I just want to check, as I'm getting some text messages that are flying in, that there's nothing I'm missing really specifically.
Oh, thank you, Dominic.
Yes.
That's great. I really appreciate you walking through everything, and hopefully, for those gathered here, you are hearing the effort to make sure that people that are coming to this conference are supported in a way that they can access the different elements of the conference and show up as their full selves and be supported. And so it's Krista, by the way. I didn't have my video on. But I just wanted to underscore that. That's just an important value for APAP. And we want to make sure that people understand that, know that, and spread the word so that people maybe who have not been to APAP or are considering being there know that there are supports and resources to help them access and navigate our time together as part of our community. So.
Thank you for that. And if you ask questions during the DM as I was speaking, please feel free to ask them publicly later. There's a lot coming in at once, so I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. My focus was a little pulled. So thank you for that help, Krista.
No problem.
Dominic, we've been monitoring the chat, and I think we are set now with questions. But as we get to the end, we'll also open the floor for more discussion.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Next
Great.
slide, please. Thank you, Krista.
No problem. And Willie, yep, there we go. All right, so now we're at the Know Before You Go with our conference committee members who are here. And if we can highlight some of them, that's great. This is an opportunity for people to share, their tips and tricks for prepping and navigating conference. If you've joined us for any other sessions, you might have heard a few of these, but they really are kind of gold because we learn and each year on how best to kind of navigate the time together, maximize our time, take care of ourselves, etc. So we have a number of people here that can help us. So I'm just going to ask our committee members. I'm going to ask Willie to highlight some of our committee members here. And I will just kick things off and ask maybe Sarah Saltwick or Laura, who I think is here, to maybe kick us off with any advice that you might have as co-chairs, and then we'll open it up to other committee members.
Hey everybody, I'm Sarah Saltwick. I'm one of the co-chairs. I'm also one of the co-directors and owners of Holden and Arts Associates. We're a small booking agency that specializes in youth and family work. So we are primarily exhibitors in the conference. So I think about, my time in the booth sort of first and then work around that. So I'm already reaching out to folks to make appointments, both people I know who we already work with, new folks from the attendee list that I've gone through and seen that they have an interest in family programming. So reaching out to them. I'm not hearing back from everybody, but that's just part of the process. This is a little bit of it's a very busy time. So, but I'm just chipping away at that big list. So that's some of the first that I do is really prep for who I'm going to have meetings with. Because again, for me, those one-on-one meetings with venues, that's my main priority. For other folks, they have different priorities. So it's reviewing the schedule in a different way. Margaret, you had asked a little bit about marketing materials. So we have a booth, so we have some materials we use for display and then some that we give people to take home. So we print out a little brochure about all of our artists. We have a roster of about 15, so each of them gets a page. This will try to give to people. Some people will not take it, that's fine. But I will use this as a little prop in my meetings so I can talk about different shows. I'll also have my business card. Those have a picture of me on it so people can remember. I'll take business cards. If I'm really on top of it, I'll write a little note to myself about who it is. I take a little half-size notebook like this so I can write notes from my meetings, as well as record who I meet outside the hall. So those are some of the tools I use. I find having a little piece of paper is nice to hand out. We are looking for images, we're looking for descriptions about our artists and their shows. Our brochure does have a QR code that links to our website that has more of those videos, but just a little takeaway that someone can throw in their bag and reference later, I find really helpful. And then I try to stash those. We'll have most of our stuff at the booth, but when I'm out and about, I'll have some brochures in my bag and I'll certainly carry business cards with me. Just because the great thing about the conference is you're seeing people in the lobby, you're seeing people, around the city. So having some materials with me at all times has been really helpful. Sometimes we've run out of brochures, but that's a good problem to have at the last day. So those are some of my tips and tricks.
Thank you, Sarah. You might have noticed that we've been highlighting people as Sarah was talking. I don't think we let them know that we were going to highlight them, so hopefully you weren't doing anything. But we're highlighting our conference committee members so that one, you know who they are, and two, they are spotlighted so they can share their expertise. So anybody want to join? I know I don't know if Laura's here, but I know Chisa as our other co-chair is here. In case you're able to speak, but otherwise, just have at it, folks. What else would you say? Yes, Danielle.
Um, I also, just like Sarah, carry my business cards, and I also have roster postcards with a QR code rather than an actual pamphlet, which is half-sized, and so people do tend to take the roster postcard. But more importantly, I'm finding more and more where people don't even want to take a business card. So I use the Blink app. That's BLINQ, which is basically a virtual business card, and it works very quickly with a QR code. The person in front of you scans your QR code. It automatically uploads your information to their contacts, even including website and a little bit about you. So I find that works really well. It's very familiar. I think if you're used to using Swap Card, it works very similarly in trying to sort of locate people as well. Anyone that you've ever used Blink with is maintained in Blink, but then also you can add their info right at that moment to your contacts as well. So there's a couple of others out there, but I find I've been using Blink for a couple of years now and I love it. So that was just one thing I wanted to add.
Daniel, thanks. If you could put that in the chat, that's great. For the blank card, if the ones that I'm pulling up online are, I don't think they're the right ones. So thank you for that. David?
Afternoon, folks. I'm going to go a different direction, and I'm going to talk about self-care and taking care of yourself at the conference. Um, one couple little tricks. One, it's okay to say I'm going to go take a nap, or I'm going to take a moment to rest, and because a lot of times people think I have to go to every booth. As a presenter, it was like my first I was like, I have to go to every booth. I have to talk to everyone. No, it's okay, and you want to try to connect with as many people as possible, but you got to take care of yourself. Another trick is the hotel tends to be dry, so wet a towel and put it over your vent in your room so that the air is blowing through the towel, which creates moisture in the air and helps you if you're dried out. That's a big one. Hydrate, drink lots of water, and bring good shoes, bring comfortable shoes because you're going to be on your feet a lot, and you need to be ready to do that. Last thing I'm going to throw out is, and this is for both presenters and for artist managers and for artists, and this is a hard one, but guess what? It's okay to say no. It's okay to if I'm a presenter and I'm going down an aisle and somebody says, "Oh, I've got something I want to show you," and it doesn't fit with what you're doing, it's better to say no than it is to say, "Oh, sure, show me the stuff," because then that person's going to think, "Oh, they're interested in my material," and then they're going to keep sending you stuff, and it's potentially a waste of time for them and a waste of time for you. So it's okay, and you never know when you're going to find something. You might be surprised. I remember I saw an artist in showcase one year that was absolutely brilliant, but was a solo artist, and my venue had a 63-foot proscenium opening. It wasn't going to work, but I remembered the artist, and 3 years later, I moved into a smaller venue, and that was the first artist that I booked. So there you go. I'm gonna stop talking.
Thanks, David. Rick?
Yeah, I kind of piggyback on some of what David said. There's so much at APAP. It is a one-stop shop for everything, for showcases, for professional development, for affinity groups, for one-on-one meetings with artists and agents. But you can't do it all, and you don't need to try to do it all. And there's no reason, it's okay as I'm a presenter, sorry, as agents and artists reach out to you about meetings, if you're not going to present them, like David said, it is okay to say, I'm going to let you use your slots for somebody that's going to book you. That's not a put down of that particular artist or agency. It's just if you don't present tribute acts, there's no reason to meet with a tribute agency. If you don't present family programming, there's no reason to meet with a family programmer. So just spend your time really wisely, doing as much as you can, taking advantage of as much as you can, but do it in a smart way so that you're not wearing yourself out and wasting your time and an agent's or an artist's time that you're not going to work with. So just looking forward to seeing everybody. It's going to be a great conference as always.
Great, thanks. And thanks, Jenny Morris, for that tip in the chat. Another veteran, amazing agent who has lots and lots of tips. So thanks. Anyone else? Aaron, Chisa?
I mean, I think everything people said are really good. I do want to give a shout out for going to the sessions and the affinity groups that were mentioned earlier, because there's some really good, not, and it's not just for the information that the people at the front of the room are going to be sharing, but you always find yourself at a table, talking to and connecting people who obviously have some sort of similar interest. I think a lot of problems and connections that I have solved and made at APAP have happened in those random people I ended up sitting next to and talking with. And that's just such a beautiful, it's the one opportunity where you get all of these really smart people working in your field in the room at the same time. So I know for agents and artists, it can be a little bit of a challenge to schedule, but I know we tried to get some sessions that would not conflict with some of the expo hall time. So absolutely take advantage of that. Um, Someone I think earlier was just asking about navigating all the offsite stuff in New York, which is a real thing. Google really is your friend when it comes to leaving in that padded time to get across town because inevitably you're going to get on the subway that's going to get delayed. Inevitably you're somehow not going to be able to find a taxi in one corner of New York. So I try to always build at least 30 to 45 minutes when I know I have to get more than a few blocks away. And while that may feel like somebody else asked the question about trying to get to all the showcases, um, you know, it's a real, you need to be generous with yourself because there's nothing worse than sort of finding yourself getting stacked further and further behind. And then you just have to cut something, potentially even a meeting, which nobody wants to do. So I really encourage people to err on the side of caution and travel headaches when it comes to navigating all those offsite places. And if you get somewhere early, you have time to grab a cup of coffee or a drink of water, which is not the worst thing in the world.
Thanks for that, Danielle.
I'm starting to navigate the meal meetings with folks that I'm connecting with. And I remembered last year that that felt like more of a challenge than ever, finding places that I used to go to that are no longer there. So I've started researching where I'm making meetings earlier than I normally would, because last year that was kind of a challenge. So, and continues to be as I've been doing some research and suggesting places. So, yeah, especially since the Hilton, I remember for breakfast, really just has that cafe takeout kind of place downstairs. And so there's really no place to make a good breakfast meeting on site. And off site is a little bit tricky as well within walking distance if you want something more than coffee. So anyhow, so that's another thing to start thinking about. If you're somebody who makes dinner meetings, lunch meetings, breakfast meetings, do the research on what's available where and when, because there's a little bit of a challenge I'm finding to doing that this year and last.
Wonderful. I think there was a question about navigating the showcases, which I know, Aaron, you just touched on. Is there anybody else that wants to offer advice about trying to navigate both on and off-site showcasing? I know one person who would really only spend 15 minutes, 10 minutes at the top of a showcase and then move on. And, we've heard in other sessions, if you are showcasing and people are only coming in for a short amount of time, don't immediately think that they don't like you or they don't think you're the right person. That some people, they know in the first 5 minutes, they see something that they like, they see something that they want to build on, or they don't see something and then they're moving on. So that's another way to treat things. It's just you need to.
The other thing is to look at the showcase schedule and we all go, okay, I'm going to go to this, and like Aaron said, be prepared because guess what? You may not make it to all. And the fact is that there are so many different showcases going on that I would bring students and they're like, I'm going to go to every showcase. And I'm like, and you're smoking crack because it's not going to happen. You're not going to get to every showcase. And so sometimes you choose and look at artists, look at the list and be open to, you may wander into a room looking for one showcase and another showcase is going on. Give it a shot. Take a look at it. And be prepared, have your materials. Oh, sorry. Have your materials with you. That's a god awful phone ringing. Have your business cards. I mean, Sarah is so right about business. I mean, have your business cards. Have something to write things down on. Take notes, but be prepared to just be flexible. That's the key to showcasing. Be flexible.
All right. We talked about naps, we talked about hydrating, saying no. Yeah, you got a lot of it. And wash your hands, because most people get sick. So you can avoid that by washing your hands and keeping some of what is that stuff called? The Purell around. So
Sanitizer. And we have
sanitizer. Like,
plenty
what
at
is that?
registration. You'll find it there as well.
Great. Margaret, I did not pay you to ask me that, but that's an awesome segue. I'm happy to share a little bit about some of the professional development that will happen. You can find it in Swap Card as the full list, but if I'm not looking straight at the camera, it's because I'm looking at the grid of all the sessions that we have. On Saturday, when we start our professional development, we're spending a lot of time on some of the key things that we think are most important for you to be aware of and to know about early on, around trends, around ways that you can navigate your time together. So we have a session that we've amended since we first announced it, advocating post-election, what you need to know. It used to be that it was a shorter session, but we feel like it needs to be a longer session around just what is the lay of the land post the US election, and what does that mean for advocating at the national, state, and local level, and what are the different strategies that experts and lobbyists are recommending for us as a field, whether you have a venue, you have a small business, you are a touring artist. We all have a role to play. So that session will be fantastic, and a group of power lobbyists and strategists that will be there. Also that morning against that, we'll have a session around navigating the changes in live audiences. We'll have a couple of folks there that are highlighting new research and around the shifts in audience, the shift and drivers of politics, society, and other kind of social drivers that are impacting behavior in terms of audience expectations, community expectations, and what does that mean for how we as an industry might adjust and adapt now and in the future. We have another session in the morning around the promise and practice of distributed leadership. We know that there's a lot of generational shifts happening in our industry, and with those generational shifts come a different approach to leading and a different approach to making decisions. And so we wanted to highlight that. What does that look like? And this idea of distributed leadership is a new way people are organizing and making decisions within their organizations. So we wanted to highlight that. There are all things against each other. One of the things that we like to say at APAP, you're going to have to make choices, but they're all important sessions, and they will all be recorded as well. So you will be able to access that on the online conference platform after, if you can't be in that room at the time. That afternoon, we'll have mostly discovery sessions. It is our opportunity to not do any professional development against the expo hall, but to drive programming to the expo hall. So we have works in progress pitch session happening that afternoon, and a roundtable around socially engaged work that deals with social issues and fostering connection among people that are interested in that kind of work. So that's Saturday. On Sunday, we are focusing more on trends and issues that are impacting our field, whether it's around succession planning or it's around the topic of labor and how it's changing in terms of retaining staff, wage, salary bands, the idea of rest, and what does that mean for retaining staff. We'll have a whole session on immersive programming, not a new trend, but a growing trend in our field around how we program and why immersive work is so important to giving people the experience and experiential, memorable events to be a part of. Also, some sessions around navigating the visa process and accessing or thinking about the collaborative approach to programming that's happening across the country. And then a session on we're calling it Arts RX, aligning arts and public health, which is another driving trend that's happening in the field. How are we looking at our organizations and our role in communities, and what can arts do to support wellness in communities, and how can that be something that we can gravitate towards? And then in the afternoon, there's some other sessions for development and marketing folks and operational folks. I do want to mark two things. One of the things that we've added to the lineup that wasn't previously announced is that we will be having a session with national funders, national US funders that we've added. It is the state of funding for the presenting field, and representatives from Duke and Wallace and Ford and Hewlett and the NEA will be there. So that has been added on Sunday afternoon, something that you should definitely get to. And then Monday, there's some other sessions around climate change and better Black booking and other samples of how people are engaging with their community. So that was a quick rundown, but that's, those are kind of the highlights of things that are happening, things that are current, things that are important right now for our industry, tools and resources that you need to have in order to navigate the time, and opportunities to hear from experts. We also have a number of plenaries. The highlight on Saturday is with Seth Godin, the wonderful marketing strategist, who will be talking about new ways to think about strategy. So that's a quick lineup of PD, the professional development. Thanks for asking. So with that, I think we're almost out of time, or at least we're getting to the point where we can ask questions and cap out next steps and deadlines and things that you should know. I want to thank our conference committee members for being here and for sharing their wisdom, and really appreciate your time and all that you've done. Okay, Nia, can I turn it over to you for next steps and things that people should be mindful of?
Sure. Thank you, Krista. Next steps. The first reminder is our housing deadline with the Hilton is coming up this Friday, December 13th. If you've not already booked a hotel room at the Hilton, please do so by Friday, as we are doing quite well in our block and rooms are limited at the conference rate. As a reminder, please log on to your online platform, update your profile or create your profile in advance of coming to New York. It will be most helpful to get acclimated to the system now. With that also, we ask you to please add sessions to your schedule on the platform and RSVP for the affinity groups and forums that you will be participating in. While it's not required for registered attendees, it is helpful to know how many attendees we expect in each room. It helps us plan the appropriate meeting spaces, and we like to know who will be with us. And with that, I am going to ask if there are any additional questions in the room. Sarah, you've been doing a great job. You and everyone else, thank you for responding to questions in the chat. There's some questions about email marketing etiquette, if you will, and showcases. Would anyone like to speak to that process?
Hello. My name is Ken Koshi. I'm based on Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a traditional Japanese taiko drummer and cultural ambassador with my music and for peace. So, anyways, this is my first attendance for this APAP, and so already applied to the showcasing like a 10 spots, but I really don't know after the process. So, um, I know deadline January 3rd, so I didn't process well, but what I need to do, could you help me simply? I need to find the agent. That's what I need to do.
Okay, Ken, I'm going to ask my colleagues to drop in the chat, sorry, some information.
Yes. I mean, if it's gonna take time, I'm gonna call you later, but thank you very much for this great.
Okay.
Thanks, Ken. I would say that one thing that that you just reminded me of, APAP NYC is great for observing how showcases should run, what kinds of things make an effective showcase. It is not the time to look for an agent.
I see.
And so you do not want to be spending time going up to, in the expo hall asking agents who have spent a lot of time for this particular time to be there to do their business,
Okay.
whether you could join the roster. But
Right.
it is a good way for you to maybe learn about some of the agents and the
Right.
rosters that they have, and then be able to follow up later. So just say that, and then we
Right.
can provide some other insight. I don't know if there's anybody else that wants to offer Ken additional information, but those are two initial things that I would say.
Right. So
Um,
meaning, like I can do as a solo, but I also have a group. So and then
mhm.
this time I just do soloing, but the 10 spots. So from now, still I can perform somewhere. Just you know, still I'm not sure.
If I may, Ken, I'm going to send contact information to you
Okay.
in the chat for our
Okay.
membership team and a
Okay.
few of our colleagues who can help you navigate this process
Sounds
as
great.
a first time
Thank you
attendee.
very, very much. I appreciate it. That's it.
Thanks.
Happy
Thank you,
holidays.
Ken.
Thanks so much. Hopefully see you soon.
Yeah. Vicky Abrash, our conference consultant, put some information in here about the e-blast and email marketing that can answer that. But really, targeted email blasts require you to do research and homework in advance. Knowing what your work is, and then identifying and researching potential presenters who do that same work, really, really key. And I think Danielle could probably speak more eloquently about that and what it means to do that effectively as an agent or an artist. Danielle?
Sure. So first of all, hats off to APAP for in those repeated listings of folks coming. First of all, there's a presenters tab in that list of registrations, but also as they send updated lists, you can actually sort and look by the newer editions. So you're not working from scratch every time or having to cull through a lot more data than you need to. But on top of that presenter tab, I'm doing additional culling by, first of all, looking at what types of presentations a venue or organization is looking for or actively doing. And then from that, after I sort of sort through and get those, I'm also then looking at the theater size, because for me, I'm really only a fit for like 500 or 600 seats and under. And so I'm trying to be as targeted as possible in people I'm reaching out to, which I know as being a presenter as well, how much that's appreciated and how much it can be a turn off if somebody is clearly not a fit and not doing their homework. So also looking at what sort of genre they're presenting, if they're dance only, or if it's dance and family programming or whatnot, that I know they're not a fit for me. So it's just important to even go a step beyond that. If you do have the time and take a look at people's websites, or look at the regions, like if it's a region that you're specifically looking to tour in, then you could do a targeted email that's addressing that. Even if it's, a place or a program that you're looking to specifically place within family programming, where you have other projects as well, then do several targeted emails. Don't do too long a blast. and just do it as targeted as possible. And APAP really does help you do that with all of the different columns of information they give you in that registration list. So hope that's a little helpful.
Great. Thank you very much. So keep in touch.
Thank you, Danielle.
Reggie, you have a question?
I do. I'm trying to figure out how to hit the button to raise my hand. But Danielle, whenever they get the list, all right, one of the things that I've done is I save the list in Excel, and then I go through and I organize it. Right now I have my office assistant working on that kind of stuff. If I haven't had the updated ones where you're moving stuff around, what is the system you use for just kind of keeping the work you've done in your Excel and then without having to basically start all over is what you're
Yeah.
um
Yeah, so I actually I use Google Sheets. It's become nearly as powerful as Excel always was. I was a huge fan of Excel forever and really started to delve deeper into Google Sheets in the last couple of years. But I basically use the same workbook, if you will, that term, and just add an additional tab and then do a diff on the two files, or you can just like simply cut and paste the newer entries that are, beyond the date of registration of your original or last list that you're working from. And I just create a new tab. And then I use a mail merge program called Yet Another Mail Merge, which is a Google add-on because I use Gmail basically. And then from there, I create a tab that is my targeted mailing list. So I'm keeping it all in one workbook so that I don't have to have like tons of different tabs and get confused as to where I am working currently. But really, for me, what I'm doing is just a cut and paste of all the new registrations into a presenter list and doing a diff on the people that I've already sent email to. Does that make sense?
when it does, like, what do you mean by diff, like, because I use Google Sheets as well, and the person I'm working with, we use that all because obviously it's just something we can keep and work on when we're in different places and stuff and don't have to update it. um but it's like I guess the thing is, how do I know if I want to combine everything that what it's adding and stuff? And you can go through, you can manually do it, but there's a way you're saying the to.
So when I'm saying it's a diff or a dedupe function. So I think in Excel it's called deduping. But the
Okay,
way that
that's
APAP actually sends the list, you don't even have to do that. You can just copy and paste from the top part of the file for all of the new registrations from the most, like from the last date of registration in the previous file. So I just create a new tab and then like add in that new information because it's sorted that way for you already with the new list from APAP. So I just import it again into another tab.
okay. Yeah, actually, so I think that's my problem. I stopped updating it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now
Mhm.
it's like I have to figure out the difference between when was my last listing and the most updated one. And I guess is there an easy way to do that? I have to, I guess, look into it a little bit more and figure out what's the best
Yeah,
process for that.
as long as you weren't deleting columns or files,
Yeah.
I tend to hide instead of delete, then all of that information should be in your file. You just might need to unhide
Okay.
columns or sort it based on that column with the date.
Thanks, Danielle. Thanks, Reggie. I think Jason had a question. Jason?
Kia ora, everyone. I'm from New Zealand. How's everyone going? Hey, I just had a question. I'm wanting to attend a couple of the affinity groups and if possible, reach out to a few of the delegates who might be coming to those ones. Is there a person that's organizing each of those affinity groups that I could reach out to first? For example, the Indigenous affinity group. I'd love to kind of reach out to people who might be attending that beforehand, just to ensure that they might be there, or even just seeing if there's any other programs or things they might be attending before the affinity group, which is kind of in the middle of the fest.
Mm-hmm. Well, the affinity groups, you're probably on on our online conference platform. So the affinity groups are there, and you can certainly reach out to people through that. That's a great example and great tool for reaching out to people who have hopefully signed up and added to their schedule. That's the only way that we have that available. We don't make those lists available because that's really a networking opportunity for people that are signing up for that. But you could certainly sign up to join that affinity group if you are part of that affinity group and that you identify with the subject matter or the reasons why that affinity group is gathering. I don't know if that helps, but happy to chat with you more afterwards if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, I have done that, but just there's only like a couple of people in each one at the moment. So I'm just wondering, because I'm coming from far, I just wanted to kind of ensure that there's a few more people to meet up with when I get there.
Of course. Well, people sort of add that later in the time moving up. A lot of people are putting their schedules together now and over the holidays. So it is something that will definitely be evolving and getting more populated. Neil, would you actually add anything there?
Forgive me if you've already said this, but reaching out to our membership team, and we'll put that information in the chat, is also a great resource. They are the ones speaking to all of our attendees on a day-to-day basis, along with our conference team, and they may have some insights into others coming from your region to the conference. So I will drop that information in the chat as well.
Great, thank you.
Jason, we look forward to seeing you. It's a long trip. Want to make sure it's worthwhile. All right, take care. All right, well, I'm not sure if there's any other questions. If not, we're kind of at time. So I think we really look forward to seeing you in New York in a month, and safe travels. Do reach out to our team if you have other questions or ways that we can be useful and supportive to help you as you prep. I want to thank the team. Thank you, conference committee. Thank you, co-chairs, for all you're doing. And thank you all for being here. We hope you have a great rest of the day. Take care.